A while ago, we dropped a list called 10 movie characters who mean more than you think, but it turns out that there are a hell of a lot more than just 10. So we've gone back to the well and found some more. Whether they accidentally set the film's plot in motion, provided a main character with important information, or went on to become far more important in hindsight, these 10 characters are all seen so unremarkable that you'd be forgiven for forgetting they even existed in the first place. Some of them don't even have names. Let this be a lesson to all of you. Just because you only have a small part in something, that doesn't mean you can't make a whole load of difference. So with that in mind, I'm Ellie with What Culture, here with 10 more movie characters who mean more than you think. Number 10, the security guard in Wayne's World. Now this one is cheating a little bit because the whole point of Chris Farley's character in the first Wayne's World is that he's a spoof of every other character on this list. In the 1992 comedy classic, Wayne and Garth are trying to get the attention of a record producer whilst at an Alice Cooper concert. They have no idea where this man is, but luckily for them, a well-informed security guard has all the answers. Farley's character knows everything about the producer's whereabouts, which helps our heroes find him and kicks off the main events of the film. Wayne's World plays with several movie tropes, and the side character who serves to dump exposition on the audience stereotype is no exception. Wayne, played by Mike Myers, even turns to the audience at home and remarks how strange it is that the guard knew so much. If this had just been a gag at the expense of movie writing cliches, this moment would have been just fine. The fact that it also moves the plot along shows what a well-crafted movie Wayne's World actually is. If only there was a word beginning with E that could summarise it. Number 9, Mitch Murphy in Home Alone. It's a well-known fact that children ruin everything, but this is an instance of an annoying kid actually giving us something good for a change. For those of you who don't know, which should be none of you, Home Alone is a Christmas classic that turns a case of child negligence into a laugh-a-minute family adventure. The extended McAllister family are in a rush to board a flight to France and, in the confusion, leave young Kevin behind. A series of events leads to this happening, but the main one is caused by a child by the name of Mitch Murphy. Mitch is the McAllisters' neighbour and is nosing around in the vans taking their stuff to the airport. He gets mistaken for Kevin during a head count, which is why Macaulay Culkin's character was accidentally forgotten. Well, we say accidentally. We all know his mum and dad really couldn't stand him. If Mitch hadn't been sticking his nose where it doesn't belong, then Kevin's encounter with the wet bandits would never have happened. His house would have been robbed and the McAllisters would have never reconciled with their son. Nice work, Mitch. You're still annoying though. Number 8, the factory worker in X-Men Apocalypse. The 20th Century Fox X-Men timeline is as twisted as Mr. Fantastic. Yes, Mr. Fantastic isn't an X-Man, but Fox don't seem to care about the franchise anymore, so why should we? The third in the prequel series, Apocalypse reveals early on that Magneto is living out his days in peace as a humble factory worker in Poland. He's got a wife, a kid that can talk to animals, and a sweet beard. What more could a mutant want? Unfortunately, it is said mutation that gets Mags into a whole lot of trouble. Whilst at work, an accident occurs that almost crushes one of his colleagues under a giant metal urn. Magneto uses his powers to save the man, alerting those around him to his abilities. This then leads to the police trying to arrest him, which leads to the death of his daughter, which leads to him joining Apocalypse and his 4 horsemen. In short, if that one bloke had been a bit more careful, then all the destruction in this movie would have never happened. And more important, we would never have got Dark Phoenix. Number 7, the typist in Saving Private Ryan. One of the earliest examples of Matt Damon needing his backside saved in a film, the brilliant Saving Private Ryan had audiences fighting back the tears when it hit cinemas in 1998. Spielberg's wartime masterpiece tells the tale of a group of soldiers sent behind enemy lines to save, well, Private Ryan, a young trooper played by Mr. Damon. Why is James Ryan's life worth sending good men on such a dangerous mission? Does he have important information? Is he a skilled fighter? Does he owe somebody money? Well, nope. The answer is good old PR. James was one of 4 Ryan brothers who joined the military to fight in World War II. The other 3 were all killed in action, so the army decide that they're not going to be seen letting a mother lose all of her sons under their watch. This detail is noticed by a typist working for the Department of War. She just so happens to be the one who types up the 3 brothers' condolence letters, which she reports to her superiors. Without her, this movie wouldn't even have a title, let alone a plot. Number 6, Terry in Back to the Future Part 2. Marty McFly is a proper villain, isn't he? He'll do whatever he can to stop himself being erased from history, but changing the past so your dad ends up rich and famous? That's just fine. It's no surprise then that McFly attempted to repeat this time travel trickery in Back to the Future Part 2. When he and Doc travel to 2015, Marty buys a sports almanac containing the results of every major sporting event from 1950 to 2000. He plans to place bets on the matches, knowing full well their outcome. Doc persuades him otherwise, but an elderly Biff overhears this conversation and snatches the almanac for himself. Thus, the events of the film play out. Despite being an objectively terrible person, Marty doesn't actually come up with the betting idea himself. He got that from Terry. An old man who pesters Marty for a donation, Terry comments on how he would have liked to have bet on the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series at 100-1 odds. This inspires Marty, which leads to everything we just mentioned. Remember kids, gambling is bad, and Marty McFly is not a good role model. Number 5. Andy's mum in Toy Story. Toy Story, the age-old tale of a jealous cowboy trying to murder an idiot spaceman all because a small child likes him more. The first adventure of Woody, Buzz and the rest of the gang delighted audiences when it was released in 1995, but none of this would have come to pass if a certain lady didn't make a certain shopping trip. On the surface, Andy's mum plays a pretty small role in the first Toy Story movie and the franchise as a whole. She has barely any screen time and doesn't even get a first name. However, it's thanks to her that the entire saga plays out the way it does. After all, she's the one who buys Andy the Buzz Lightyear action figure. If she hadn't have swung that surprise gift on her son for his birthday, then Buzz would never have met the toys and Woody wouldn't have tried to murder him. And actually, while we're thinking about it, she's also the one who organises the yard sale in Toy Story 2, and she's the one who puts the toys in the garbage in Toy Story 3. Clearly, she's more powerful than we first thought. Number 4. Louis Dodgson in Jurassic Park. Louis Dodgson is a man working for one of the rivals of John Hammond's Jurassic Park. He bribes Dennis to steal fertilized dinosaur embryos from the park's labs, even showing him how to store the stolen goods in a special gimmick spray can. Dennis loves that can, by the way, maybe a little more than he should. This shady deal sets off the catastrophic sequence that leads to dinosaurs running amok and killing dozens of innocent people. Dodgson may only have a brief part in the Jurassic Park film, but he's got a much larger role in the original novels. Also, anyone who has seen the god-awful Jurassic World Dominion will recognise him as the main baddie in that film. He's the leader of Biosyn, a corrupt company charged with the containing of dinosaurs. So there you have it, one tiny role led to a huge part in a billion-dollar movie, and it only took 19 years to get there. Not that Dominion used original actor Cameron Thor, poor guy. Number 3. Murtaugh and Mulroy in Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. Appearing in 2 films from the original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, Murtaugh and Mulroy are both Royal Marines who eventually end up as pirates. When we first meet the bumbling pair, they are guarding the HMS Interceptor in the first movie, The Curse of the Black Pearl. It's here that they encounter Jack Sparrow, who attempts to outwit the pair in order to steal the Royal Navy vessel. Fortunately for Jack, he'd have a harder time trying to outwit a pebble. Murtaugh and Mulroy, no idea which one is which, get into an argument about the authenticity of the Black Pearl legends, which gives Jack time to board the ship. They eventually notice and confront him, only to be interrupted by Elizabeth Swann falling into the sea from the cliff top. Since neither of the guards want to go in after her, Captain Sparrow makes the save himself. This led to Jack meeting Elizabeth, which in turn gets him arrested, and the rest, as they say, is history. They may not have a brain cell to share, but these 2 endearingly stupid best buds are responsible for one of the biggest film franchises of the modern age. Number 2. BOLVAN in Star Wars. Lots of small details happen in Star Wars that change the course of the series. What if the Jedi Council had just let Qui-Gon train Anakin? What if BB-8 never ran into Rey? What if Luke and Leia never discovered they were related and got together? Actually, no, that one's gross. Forget that one. But perhaps the biggest coin flip moment in the whole Skywalker saga came in the very first film to be released. After Darth Vader and his troops stormed Tantive 4 looking for the Death Star plans, R2-D2 and C-3PO managed to flee on an escape pod with the plans stored in R2's hard drive. An Imperial officer, who it turns out is called BOLVAN, receives word that one of the escape pods has been jettisoned. Instead of destroying it, he tells everyone to hold their fire and that it must have short-circuited. In doing so, the officer lets R2 and 3PO go, which eventually leads to the downfall of the Galactic Empire. If BOLVAN had been more thorough, the Death Star plans would have never reached the rebellion and Luke Skywalker would have never found his destiny. Talk about a bad day at work. Number 1. Stan Lee in the MCU. When it comes to legends of the entertainment industry, there are few who stand taller than the late great Stan Lee. Marvel's big boss man and the mind behind some of the world's most famous superheroes, Lee became famous all over again through his cameos across the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Delivery man, bus driver, Smithsonian guard, Hugh Hefner, Stan played them all, but his most important appearance was saved for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Whilst Rocket and Kraglin are bouncing around space, they pass a group of strange-looking individuals talking to a man in a spacesuit. The man is Stan Lee, of course, but who are the weird big-headed aliens? They are the Watchers. The Watchers are extremely powerful beings tasked with observing the events of the multiverse without interfering. Lee acts as their source, filling them in on all the goings-on that he has seen on Earth. This confirmed the long-running fan theory that Lee's many cameos were a sign that he was a Watcher. It's a beautiful moment that not only pays off years of speculation, but also places Stan amongst the most powerful creatures in the universe, where he belongs. And that concludes our list. If you think we missed something, then do let us know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap that notification bell. Also head over to Twitter and follow us there, and I can be found across various social medias just by searching Ellie Littlechild. I've been Ellie with What Culture. I hope you have a magical day, and I'll see you real soon.